The war between the causal dominion and the surrounding star systems had lasted for 30 cycles. Entire planets had burned. Civilizations older than human history had fallen into silence. Humanity was new to the galaxy and already exhausted. Their fleets were smaller, their weapons less advanced, and their population spread thin across fragile colonies. If the war continued, humans would not survive another decade. That was why the marriage was proposed. Princess Selira of the Causal was not raised to expect love. She was raised to expect duty. From childhood, she learned how to stand still under pressure, how to speak without showing fear, and how to carry the fate of her people without breaking. When the High Council informed her that she would marry a human to seal a peace treaty, she did not argue. She only bowed her head and accepted. Humans were strange to her, small, soft-looking. They lacked natural armor, claws, venom, or psychic dominance. Most alien species believed humans survived only because of luck and numbers. To Selira, marrying one felt like marrying a symbol, not a partner. The union was meant to calm borders, stop raids, and give the galaxy time to breathe. The human chosen was named Elia's Ward. When Selira first saw him, she felt a quiet confusion. He did not look like a warrior. He stood straight but relaxed, wearing simple formal clothing instead of ceremonial armor. His eyes were alert but calm. There was no fear in them but no pride either. He bowed respectfully, not deeply enough to appear weak, not shallow enough to appear rude. Around them, the great hall of Accord buzzed with whispers. Tall, armored aliens glanced at Elias with thinly hidden amusement. Some clicked their mandibles in mockery. Others openly laughed. "This is the human," one council member muttered. "He would not last a minute in real combat." Selira heard it all. Elias heard it too. He said nothing. The ceremony was long and heavy with tradition. Ancient words echoed through the hall as energy seals activated and the bond was recorded across galactic law. When it was done, the war officially ended. Ships stood down. Weapons powered off. The galaxy exhaled. That night, Selira and Elias were escorted to a private residence within the capital spire. It was luxurious, guarded, and cold. Servants left them alone in a wide chamber overlooking the city's glowing skyline. Silence filled the space. "You do not have to pretend," Selira said at last, her voice controlled. "This marriage is political. I expect nothing from you beyond cooperation." Elias nodded. "That's fair. I don't expect anything either." She studied him closely. His posture was relaxed, but his awareness never dropped. He noticed every movement, every sound. It reminded her of trained predators, not because he was aggressive, but because he was ready. "You are not afraid," she said. "I am," he replied honestly. "I just don't let it decide things." That answer stayed with her. In the following days, Selira observed Elias carefully. He trained daily in the human way, using bodyweight exercises rather than machines. He ate alien food without complaint, even when it caused visible discomfort. He attended council sessions and endured open disrespect with calm patience. When diplomats insulted humanity, he did not argue. When generals mocked his size, he did not react. When nobles laughed behind his back, he smiled politely. Selira began to realize something unsettling. Elias was not ignoring the insults. He was choosing not to respond. The peace lasted exactly 23 days. The attack came without warning. Enemy warships emerged from folded space directly above the capital. Sirens screamed. Defense grids activated too late. Plasma strikes tore through orbital platforms, sending burning debris raining down on the city. Selira was in a council chamber when the first explosion shook the spire. The floor cracked. Lights flickered. Guards rushed in, shouting orders. "They are targeting you," the commander said. "We must move." Elias appeared at her side moments later. He had changed from formal wear into plain combat clothing. There was no weapon in his hands. "You should evacuate with the others," Selira told him sharply. "This is not your battle." Elias looked at the shaking ceiling, then at her. "You're my wife. That makes it my battle." Before she could reply, the chamber doors exploded inward. Enemy soldiers flooded in, towering beings of muscle and metal, far larger than humans, armed with heavy energy weapons. Causal guards charged, fighting fiercely, but they were outnumbered. Selyra was pushed back as a blast struck the wall beside her. She stumbled. Another soldier advanced toward her, weapon charging. Elias moved. He did not shout. He did not hesitate. He grabbed a fallen piece of reinforced alloy and hurled it with brutal force. It struck the attacker's head and crushed it inward with a sound like shattering stone. The room froze for half a second. Elias picked up another piece, then another. His movements were fast, precise, and powerful in a way that defied expectation. He closed distance, using enemy size against them, striking joints, tearing weapons away, slamming bodies into walls hard enough to crack reinforced plating. Selyra watched in disbelief. Human biology was not supposed to allow this. A blast hit Elias in the shoulder. He staggered, blood spilling, but he did not fall. His breathing deepened. His eyes sharpened. Something changed. He moved faster. He lifted an enemy twice his mass and threw it across the chamber. He took hits that should have broken bones and kept going. Every movement was fueled by pure intent. Protect. When the last enemy fell, the chamber was silent except for alarms. Elias stood in the center, chest rising and falling, blood soaking his sleeve. He turned toward Selyra. "Are you hurt?" She could not answer. Later, in a secure bunker beneath the spire, Selyra sat across from him as medical drones worked on his injuries. The wounds were serious, yet his body was already stabilizing faster than expected. "What did you do?" she asked quietly. Elias shrugged slightly. "I did what humans do when cornered. That strength, it should not be possible." "It usually isn't," he said, "unless someone we care about is in danger." Outside, the battle still raged, but something had shifted. Alien commanders whispered a new word with fear and confusion. "Human." And Selyra realized the marriage meant for peace had just revealed a force the galaxy was not ready to face. The battle for the capital did not end that day. What Elias had done inside the council chamber spread through the spire like fire, but the enemy forces were still pouring in from orbit. Entire districts burned. Defense lines collapsed and reformed again and again. The causal dominion had fought many wars, yet this attack was different. It was precise, brutal, and aimed at breaking morale. Selyra was moved deeper into the underground command sector. Thick layers of alloy and energy shields separated her from the chaos above, but she could still feel the tremors through the floor. Each vibration carried the weight of failure. Her people were strong, disciplined, and proud, yet even they were being pushed back. Elias insisted on staying near her. "You should be evacuated off-world," one of the generals snapped at him. "You are not trained for large-scale warfare." Elias met the general's gaze calmly. "Neither were most humans when we faced extinction on our own planet. We adapted." The general said nothing more. Selyra watched Elias closely as hours passed. His shoulder wound had been sealed, but the pain should have slowed him. It did not. He sat quietly, eyes closed at times, breathing in a steady rhythm. When alarm sounded, he opened his eyes instantly, fully alert. "What are you doing?" Selyra asked. "Keeping myself ready," Elias replied. "Humans crash hard after adrenaline spikes. I'm managing it." She did not fully understand, but she sensed the truth in his words. He was not reckless, he was controlled. The enemy struck again before dawn. This time they breached the lower levels. Explosions tore through access tunnels. Smoke filled the air. Emergency lights bathed everything in red. Soldiers ran past, some wounded, some dragging others behind them. "They're breaking through the inner ring," a commander shouted. "If they reach the command sector—" They did not finish the sentence. Selyra stood. Her posture was straight, regal even in crisis. "If they reach this level, the Dominion falls." Elias stepped beside her. Then they don't reach this level. A squad of elite Khazal warriors took position at the main corridor entrance. Their armor was thick, their weapons powerful. Even so, their tension was visible. They had seen the enemy's strength. The corridor shook as enemy units advanced. Heavy footsteps echoed. Energy blasts slammed into the defensive barrier, cracking it inch by inch. When the barrier finally failed, the fight turned savage. The enemy soldiers surged forward like living tanks. Khazal warriors met them head-on. Blades clashed. Energy weapons roared. Bodies fell on both sides. Elias moved without waiting for orders. He grabbed a fallen weapon, not using it to fire but as a blunt tool. He charged into the fray with terrifying focus. Where alien soldiers fought with rigid training, Elias fought with instinct. He flowed between strikes, using walls, floors, and enemy momentum. He took damage. He ignored it. Scifi watched as he pulled a wounded Khazal soldier out of harm's way, then turned back into the fight without pause. His breathing was heavy now. Veins stood out along his arms and neck. His movements were raw, powerful, but never wild. At one point, a massive enemy commander stepped forward. It stood nearly 3 times Elias' height, encased in reinforced armor. It laughed, a deep metallic sound, and swung a heavy weapon that crushed the floor where Elias had stood moments before. Elias did not retreat. He ran forward. The commander struck again. Elias slid under the blow, slammed into the creature's leg joint, and drove all his strength into a weak point. The armor cracked. The commander roared. Elias climbed the massive body like a mountain, ignoring strikes, and delivered a final blow directly into the head unit. The commander collapsed. Silence followed, broken only by distant explosions. The enemy assault on the command sector failed. For the first time since the invasion began, the defenders had held the line. News spread quickly. Alien soldiers whispered Elias' name. Some watched him with awe, others with fear. Medical teams reported impossible data. Human muscle fibers under stress outputting power far beyond expected limits. Neural systems overriding pain responses. Rapid clotting of wounds. Scientists demanded answers. Scifi demanded answers too. Later, in a reinforced chamber lit softly to calm the mind, she stood across from Elias. His clothing was torn, his body bruised and burned, yet he stood straight. "You could have died," she said quietly. "So could you," Elias replied. "I wasn't letting that happen." "This strength," she said, "why hide it? Why let the galaxy believe humans are weak?" Elias was silent for a long moment. "Because strength invites fear," he said finally, "and fear invites extermination. Humans learned early that survival isn't about showing power. It's about choosing when to use it." Scifi felt something shift inside her. She had been taught that power must always be displayed to maintain order. Elias showed her another way. The War Council reconvened that same day. Holograms displayed burning cities, advancing enemy fleets, and defensive positions barely holding. "We cannot win this conventionally," a general admitted. "Their numbers are too great." Elias stepped forward. "What if you stop fighting like aliens?" he asked. The council stared. "Humans don't win wars by matching strength," Elias continued. "We win by breaking patterns. We adapt faster than our enemies expect." He proposed something unthinkable, a targeted counterstrike, not against fleets or armies, but against command logic. Human teams would infiltrate enemy coordination hubs, disrupt communications, spread false data, and force confusion. Small groups, high risk, maximum impact. "Humans specialize in this," Elias said, "because we had to." Scifi watched the council's hesitation turn into consideration. They were desperate, and desperation opens minds. The plan was approved. Human units long kept in support roles were unleashed. What followed shocked the galaxy. Enemy fleets turned on each other due to false targeting data. Supply lines collapsed. Commanders received contradictory orders. Entire battalions froze, unsure who to trust. Causal forces advanced behind the chaos, reclaiming territory piece by piece. Within days, the invasion stalled. Within a week, it began to retreat. Scifi stood beside Elias on a high platform overlooking the recovering city. Smoke still rose, but lights returned one by one. "You changed everything," she said. "We did," Elias corrected. "Together." She looked at him, not as a political obligation, not as a fragile human, but as a force shaped by hardship and choice. And far across the stars, enemy leaders gathered in fear. They had prepared for alien strength. They had not prepared for human resolve. The war was not over yet. But for the first time, the galaxy understood that peace with humans was not charity. It was survival. The enemy retreat did not bring peace. It brought silence, and silence in war was often more dangerous than noise. Across the galaxy, fleets paused in uncertain positions. Borders locked down, trade routes froze. Everyone waited to see what the humans would do next. Scifi understood this fear well. She had grown up learning how power shaped thought. Now she watched entire empires rethink their future because of one species they had once dismissed, and because of one human. Elias did not enjoy the attention. After the counterstrike, he returned to simple routines, training, planning, and helping wherever needed. He spoke little of what he had done. When soldiers thanked him, he nodded and moved on. When officials praised him, he redirected credit to teams and systems. This unsettled many aliens more than arrogance would have. A hero who did not seek power was harder to control. Scifi spent more time with him now, not as a symbol but as a partner. They spoke during quiet hours, walking through repaired corridors or standing on balconies overlooking the city. She learned about Earth, about storms, oceans, fragile bodies surviving on a harsh world. "Humans should not exist," she said once, watching stars drift past. Elias smiled faintly. "We say that about ourselves sometimes." The enemy did not remain silent forever. A final message arrived from the hostile coalition. It was not a threat, it was a demand. They wanted Elias' ward. "Hand over the human," the message stated, "and the war ends. Refuse, and we will burn every world tied to him." The council erupted in panic. "This is madness," one elder hissed. "We cannot sacrifice peace for one human." Scifi stood slowly. "He is not just one human," she said, her voice calm but sharp. "He is my husband, he is our ally, and he is the reason we are still standing." "He is also the reason they fear us," another counselor argued. "Fear leads to annihilation." Elias listened quietly from the side. "Let them have me," he said suddenly. Every eye turned. "If giving me up saves billions," he continued, "then it's worth it." Scifi felt something cold grip her chest. "No," she said firmly. "You will not offer yourself as a weapon or a sacrifice." "This is how humans think," Elias replied gently. "We trade ourselves for others." "And this," Scifi said, stepping closer, "is how rulers think. We protect those who stand with us. If we give you up now, we prove their fear is correct. That humans are monsters to be contained." The council fell into tense silence. A new voice spoke. A causal general, scarred and battle-worn, lowered his head slightly toward Elias. "My soldiers saw you fight. They would follow you into death. If we hand you over, we lose more than a man. We lose belief." One by one, others agreed. The decision was made. They refused. The enemy responded with force. The largest fleet the galaxy had seen emerged near the capital system. Hundreds of ships, weapons charged, spreading like a dark cloud against the stars. Panic spread through civilian networks. Scifi addressed her people in a broadcast that reached far beyond her own species. "We did not choose this war," she said, "but we choose how it ends. We stand with humanity not because they are strong, but because they stand when others fall. Today, we do not bow to fear." Elias stood beside her, silent but present. The final battle began. Human and alien fleets moved together, not as separate forces, but as one coordinated system. Human tacticians worked alongside alien commanders, blending instinct with calculation. Ships moved unpredictably, baiting traps, retreating only to strike from unexpected angles. On the ground, Elias led a joint unit tasked with a critical mission, disabling the enemy's central control node, buried deep within a mobile fortress. The environment was hostile, crushing gravity, toxic air, constant enemy patrols. Alien soldiers struggled to move. Elias adjusted his breathing, his stance, his body adapting step by step. He carried wounded allies when they could not walk. He broke through sealed doors when systems failed. He kept moving. At the heart of the fortress, they were discovered. Enemy elites surrounded them, weapons raised. The unit was outnumbered, cut off, and low on power. The enemy commander stepped forward. "You are the human," it said. "The anomaly." Elias met its gaze. He was exhausted, bruised, bleeding, but his eyes were steady. "I'm just someone who won't stop," he replied. The commander attacked. What followed was not a display of raw strength alone. It was endurance. Elias took hit after hit, each one pushing him closer to collapse. His body screamed for rest. His vision blurred. But he remembered Earth. He remembered Scifi standing alone in a hostile hall. He remembered millions of lives depending on this moment, and he refused to fall. When his muscles failed, he used leverage. When his vision faded, he trusted instinct. When his strength was gone, he used will. The final blow shattered the control core. Across space, the enemy fleet froze, ships drifted, weapons powered down, command signals vanished. The battle ended not with explosions but with surrender. In the aftermath, the galaxy changed. Treaties were rewritten, borders redrawn. Humanity was no longer a minor player or a hidden force. They were recognized as equals, sometimes feared, often respected. Elias recovered slowly. Human limits had been pushed beyond safety. For weeks he could barely stand without assistance. Scifi stayed by his side. "You broke yourself," she said softly. He smiled weakly. "Worth it." When he finally stood before the Galactic Assembly, supported but unbroken, silence filled the chamber. Elias spoke simply. "Humans are not invincible. We bleed, we break, we get tired. But when someone stands with us, we stand longer than anyone expects." He looked at Scifi. "This peace wasn't bought by marriage. It was built by trust." The Assembly agreed. The story of the human who married for peace spread across the stars, not as a warning but as a lesson. Never mistake quiet for weakness. Never mistake kindness for surrender. And never underestimate a human who chooses to protect. For Scifi, the war had begun as duty. It ended as choice. And beside her stood a human, not as a weapon, not as a symbol, but as a partner who had shown the galaxy what true strength really meant.